Yo, what's going on, Phantom Thieves? I am back, and today I want to talk about something that's been on my mind for the past couple days. If you see right here, I'm actually playing Biomutant, and it's a open world kung fu action RPG. That's how they described it. But it got me thinking as I'm playing through this game. We have a lot of open world games. Like we have a lot of them, and I was like, man, do we have too many open world games right now? And that also ties into another thing I was thinking about. We have a lot of open world games that are so long for no reason. So it made me wonder, do games have to be, and this is a rhetorical question, but do games have to be open world and 30 to 50 hours long to be considered a good video game nowadays? I've actually seen reviewers give games a lower score because they were not long enough. Now, I get there's a difference between a game that was so good and then it abruptly ends because it didn't have enough time versus what I'm talking about of, well, the game was great, it was just short. Even though the game is great, it was short, so it loses points. And it got me thinking. So we're gonna go through a good amount of games, right? Imagine, right off the bat, Ace Combat and Ace Combat 7. Imagine if these games were 30 hours long apiece. Imagine if these games were 30 hours. I love Ace Combat 6 and 7. I have the Belkin Wars and Ace Combat 0. And I have Ace Combat 4 actually on my PS2. I could not fathom if the Ace Combat series for each game was 30 hours long. Just for the campaign. Now, I'm not saying you can't put in 30 hours worth because you easily can, especially when you have, the replay values there to unlock certain stuff or get better, better scores or higher difficulties. So they have longevity. But if a campaign run of Ace Combat ran 30 hours, man, as much as I love them, I have other games I play as well. And Assassin's Creed Odyssey and Origins, I remember when Assassin's Creed came out, the original Assassin's Creed, for you guys that haven't played it. Odyssey and Origins, if you're just talking about the story, it can probably take you, we'll say 35 to 50 hours for just the main story. More towards the 50-hour mark, just for the main story. Then we're not talking about finding all the collectibles, exploring the entire map, hunting all the legendary beasts, finding all the armors. You get what I'm going. You get where I'm going with this, okay? Sometimes there is too much of a good thing. There is. Not every game is meant to be, like Elder Scrolls was with the open world. Not every game does it as good as The Witcher 3, where the side quests felt just as good as the main quest. Now, you do have games like Sunset Overdrive they're fun to explore, but that's because the way they allow you to explore that world, it's fun. But the main story is also not 50 hours long. So even if you have an open world game, they don't need to be 30, 40, 50 hours long. They don't need that. Like I said, right, I'm playing Biomutant right now. And I like to check the how long to beat website. They said if you just do the story and rush, it's about 12 to 15 hours. That's not bad. And it's still open world. But 12 to 15 hours is not bad. Now, if you take time to explore, that's probably still going to net you 20 to 25 hours. That's not bad. But when you're talking about, hey, just the story itself, 50 hours. It's like, man, I'm a gamer. I want to be able to play all this other stuff. How can I? Now, Monster Hunter, since we're right here, I put in 100 hours plus in each of the games I've ever played. Freedom Unite, 3 Ultimate, 4 Ultimate, World, Iceborne, the Monster Hunter Stories games. Not Stories 2 because I'm still working on that, but you get the idea. I've put in countless hours into those, but those games are grinding. They're a grinding type of game, so it's going to be like that. But Ori, you know, the Ori series. These games don't need to be 30 hours long in their campaign. They don't need to be. They don't need to be open world. They're made the way they are, and it suits that type of game. The Sims, that's an endless amount of time. But we're not talking about that. I play Skylanders, okay? Each game, the story takes about, and sometimes it's because I may switch the characters up and I want to, replay stages just to boost my character's abilities. But they may take 12 to 15 hours, which isn't terrible. But Star Wars, the Knights of the Old Republic games, for my fans of the Knights of the Old Republic series, yeah, they're gonna take quite some time, but they're done well enough to where it makes you want to. It makes you want to. Okay. Red Dead 2. As much as I love that game, that map was so big. I was like, why? And half of a game's playtime, I'm just exaggerating, but I really do feel like half of a game's playtime sometimes in these open world games nowadays, half of your time is just spent traveling. It's not even playing the main campaign. Half of your time, or we'll say a quarter of the time, you're traveling because the world is so big. So then it's like it's a cheap way to say, oh, our game offers 50 hours of gameplay, but then a quarter of it is just, getting from destination point A to point B. Not every game needs to do that. Mass Effect, I'll put in countless time, but if you play Mass Effect, you know why. Metal Gear Rising. I beat that game, it was 10 to 12 hours, but then they had the DLC that I went through, which was a couple hours. They had little, and I don't mind games like this where they have little runoff paths where you can find hidden collectibles or, whatever the case is. But the core gameplay, the story itself, 10 to 12 hours for a game like this. It doesn't need to be 20, 30 hours. Imagine if you played Metal Gear Rising. Imagine if Metal Gear Rising, as fun as it was, it would have dragged after, I'd say, the 15-hour mark. Because like I said, it took me about 10 to 12 hours. 15, 20 hours of Metal Gear Rising, I would have been like, man, when is it going to end? Like, the story did what it needed to. When is it going to end? You know what I'm saying? Imagine if Senua's Sacrifice was, that's an 8 to 10 hour game for real, but it didn't need to be long. And some of these games are so guilty of being long just to say, oh, we offer this much gameplay. We offer this much time. Not every game needs to be like that. That's just my opinion. Games can be long if it suits the type of game it is. If it suits the type of game it is, Mass Effect, Monster Hunter, your Destinies, your Call of Duties where you're and I'm not talking about no Call of Duty campaign, because if a Call of Duty campaign was 20 hours, going straight to multiplayer, because I'm not doing all this. I'm not trying to see 20 hours of one story of Call of Duty. Not me. You may, but not me. Even the For Honor, the story mode doesn't take long. The longevity comes from the multiplayer. And that's okay, but for the sake of this video, what I mean is when a campaign is 40 to 50 hours just for the campaign, and you're not even talking about the rest of the game and what it has to offer. When is that not enough? Like, that's the two questions before we end this video, because I don't want to keep repeating myself. The two questions I have: do we have too many open world games nowadays that are open world just to have that tagline of "we are an open world game"? Do we have too many of those? And number two, outside of games that are, your multiplayer shooters like Destiny, Call of Duty, Battlefield, whatever the case is, your Mass Effects, your Witchers, your Elder Scrolls games, your online MMOs, single player games and stuff like that, campaigns. What is a comfort zone? I want to know from you guys, what is a comfort zone of, if I'm playing a point A to point B game like Metal Gear Rising, how long should it be? For me, I say anywhere from 10 to 15 hours. In some games, like the indie games like Katana Zero, that's maybe a 5 to 6 hour game, but it's perfect. It's perfect for where it's at. So where do you guys, depending on the type of game you're playing, what's the most amount of time story-wise that you want to spend in that game before you're just like, man, I'm tired of this? So those are my two questions, okay? One more time. One, do we have too many open world games for the sake of having open world? And number two, how much time are you comfortable with in a campaign-driven game before you get tired of it? Guys, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hit that subscribe button. Please hit those comments. I want to have some conversations with you guys. I want to know what you guys think of stuff like this. And I hope to catch you in my next video. I haven't thought about it yet, but you know we'll be coming back with something, all right? Phantom Thieves, take it easy. This is Arrow. I'm out. Peace.